All right, Ulm turn 60. Yeah, this was kind of an eventful turn for other people, but yeah, we'll take a look. Still doing more summoning. This is our first Spectre. We'll take a look at him after the battles. We found some gem deposits, which is nice. One of the advantages of having good earth. This is like a gold site, which is great because we're actually pretty desperate for gold right now. And yeah, you're more likely to find these mines with earth mages. So yeah, that's really nice. And then yeah, we had some battles. So there's a battle in Arcos of Folly, and we'll take a quick look at this. So yeah, Niflheim had turned a raid around before, and this is the same guy with the lifelong protection, which we've seen before. And I mean, he's pretty nasty. So we'll see what Niflheim has. Yeah, and so this is only the PD, I believe. There are some warriors here now. Because if you invest enough in the PD, then you start getting like additional national unit types. They're usually of better quality, right? So like initially you're just going to get something usually pretty lame, depends on the nation. And then as you spend more money, then you start to get a small number of your better troops. Like there's like I don't know, 3 warriors here, not a lot. But it looks like it's just the PD, which is unfortunate. So it looks like he invested more in the PD, but then chose not to patrol. And I mean there's always like competing concerns. But yeah, it just seems rough because I don't think they're going to be able to handle this guy. Yeah, especially with all these imps. But we'll see. I mean, they are giants, so when they deal damage, it's going to be a lot of damage. Okay, wow. So this guy, where did he get in this? I guess he gave him some water gems. So yeah, I mean, he summoned a water elemental, which of course is an ice elemental in Niflheim's territory, which we've seen and discussed before, which like really, it's like one of the nice things about the ice elemental, is he has this chill aura, but like against the ice giants, like, yeah, who cares? So I think this guy's going to just get erased. Yeah, and then as he gets, he's size 5 still, so he got knocked down like 1 form, but yeah, once he goes down to size 4, like he's not even gonna be able to trample these giants anymore, like, which is like one of those main ways. Like otherwise, yeah, he just has like this one lame fist. It's not even as good, I think, as like an earth elemental in that sense. So yeah, I mean the chill aura and the trampling, but so I don't know, not sure about that decision. And I mean it fatigued him out, right? Like summoning elementals, I think you need 3 for all of them, in the associated path. And it's 100 fatigue spell. So I mean it's not easy summoning like the full-sized elementals. You need like a decently powerful caster and then choose up a gem, and then it takes a lot of fatigue. So like this guy's kind of like maybe in trouble now because he's asleep. Now I mean he still has his imps coming in, and you can see the imps are doing a really good job. I mean like this imp is screwed. But like he blocked like half maybe of like the guys, right? And then it's gonna while this guy's still sleeping, right? He's got some imps here to keep him busy. So yeah, just that lifelong protection again, like coming in clutch, because like otherwise this is like a little freaky, to be asleep with a bunch of giants bearing down on you. But yeah, now he's woken up. So yeah, and I think he's fatigue neutral here. I'm pretty sure that it's just encumbrance to reinvigoration, right? So 3 to 3, but I'm not 100% because there are things that can influence fatigue. Yeah, I don't know everything about it, but certainly, right? I mean, he managed to get himself out of sleeping, which pretty much all units can do, because if you're taking no actions, you always get that natural tick down, unless like you're getting hit by like maybe a cold aura or something that's generating fatigue. Yeah, so maybe not, right? Because he's like right at 100. So yeah, I mean maybe because he's already like at 100, he'll just stay at 100. But yeah, you can see he's like not really taking actions here. Yeah, so then he's back down to 99. We'll see if he ticks back up. But anyway, like his imps keep coming in regardless. Yeah, so maybe not fatigue neutral. Maybe if he was lower fatigue, because he went 99, to 102, and now he's going to come back down to 99. So if he was just at a lower fatigue level, then yeah, I think he would be neutral. But I guess you do need some buffer there. So anyway, you never want to be like right at the edge of sleep, really for any unit. But I mean, especially for super combatants or thugs like this. But yeah, I mean, the imps just keep coming in. And like, yeah, the giants like can't even really like get close to him. Like these imps, like, you know, they don't have any hit points and they don't have any protection, but like their defense score isn't the worst thing in the world. Size 1 units, like the smaller you are, generally the better defense score you have. I'm not sure if they, yeah, no, it doesn't really say, but anyway, yeah. And like, you know, these are just like the giant militia, like, yeah, like they have really bad attack skill actually. Yeah, I think that's just, yep, they just suck. They're even worse than human militia. Well, I should be careful. I think probably the same as human militia, but I mean worse than average. So yeah, I mean they're really struggling to kill these imps. You know, and then this guy, you know, he falls asleep and then he wakes up and kills somebody with a firebrand, and yeah, you know. So yeah, I mean he's able to pull it out. And yeah, I mean that really sucks for Niflheim, right? Because I mean, you know, he invested more money in this PD, right? And like now he's not going to get it back. You know, so it's just money down the drain. And now, of course, like this really valuable like fort province is like under siege, so you can't recruit out of it. No mages, like no troops. You know, and Helheim gets like half the money. I don't know if it's connected, but certainly Niflheim loses, you know, half the money, and these capitals make a lot of money. So I mean, you know, it's really important to try to not let them get locked down. I mean, you know, shit happens. Sometimes the Sea King shows up. But yeah, would have liked to see, you know, like a little bit of mage support or something. Still don't know if it would have made the difference. You know, it depends on like what Niflheim brought out. Maybe they just didn't really have anything, you know, here that, you know, they felt, yeah, but then I guess it's a little odd that he invested the, you know, more money in the PD. Because, I mean, we knew this guy was running around, right? So it's like investing more money in the PD, like when you know that you might have to go up against this guy who's all decked out, it's like you got to give him something. These guys are never going to be able to handle, you know, this guy. So anyway, yeah, that kind of sucks for Niflheim. Yeah, and I don't think this was a big battle, but it is important because, yeah, has like brought a major force, and they were definitely on the back foot, you know. I don't know, maybe like 10 turns ago, like give or take, like they had some, you know, kind of some rough losses, and it was looking like, you know, Macone might come out on top, and like, yeah, now they're coming back and attacking, and yeah, there's not a whole lot here, so, you know, just some PD. I mean, you know, Wolf's Tribe is like a bit, you know, of the better PD ish. You know, they have like these 2 attacks, you know, their attack skills like not terrible. They're kind of low damage because they're daggers. So if you have really like high protection, you don't really have to worry too much about Wolf Tribe. But like for elves and stuff, sometimes you can get surprised, you know, because they kind of rely on their defense score. And so like, yeah, just all these dagger attacks harass that defense down. And so, yeah, so this is a bit of a PD dump. And then, I don't know, random scorpion that he summoned. And then he's got 1 caster here who is, yeah, really hurting. And he's got like 1 gem. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure what this guy's here for. But yeah, I mean, Hinnom has, you know, brought a lot. These like crushers, I've never really seen them in combat, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be good siege strength, right? So like a decent addition to siege strength. There's only 4 of them here. And then, yeah, I mean, he's got some of his, like, yeah, this is a really powerful caster, you know, with a bunch of earth gems. He's also using some boots, some earth boots to boost himself up a little bit. And he's got some blood slaves here, so we could see some blood magic. I think this Horite Shaman, yeah, okay, that's low paths, but, you know, he's got some gems too, so might see some stuff out of him. You know, these are some demons. Not super familiar with these either. They don't, I mean, high defense skill, but yeah, I mean, no, not a lot of protection, not a lot of hit points, also size 1. So yeah, I mean, you know, they might only 1 attack. So we'll see. Flyers though, so, you know, useful in that sense. And then, yeah, I think, you know, we've seen these guys, they throw like the lightning, like they're pretty good. And then, yeah, I mean, we've seen these Dawn Guard, they kind of struggled in that cave. But, you know, now that they're in the cave, not in the cave, right, like they have pretty good, you know, a little bit of experience bonus here for this particular guy, but still pretty good stats. You know, they got this magic weapon. Like, yeah, these guys are good. A little bit of starvation, like, yeah, I think that you see that a little more on like the giants, just because they use more supplies, so it can be a little harder to keep like giant armies supplied. Yeah, and then he's also using a bunch of these corpse constructs. You see these guys a lot. They're, yeah, probably one of like the better like chaffy summons. They take air gems, which, you know, is a bit of a trade-off because air gems can be pretty useful. Just air elementals are like really powerful. But But yes, they take air gems to summon, and they're a little slow to bring in, although there's some items you can use to increase the number that you get per turn. They have no protection. And like, I mean, their skills are just like garbage, but they have a lot of hit points and they have a lot of strength. So when they hit, they deal okay damage, and they're overcharged, which is similar to like that shocking armor that we see all the time. So I mean, yeah, and then of course like shock damage, we've seen that it can stun people. If you don't have any resistances to it, like it can be pretty nasty. So I mean, yeah, they can actually deal like a decent amount of damage just that alone. And then they're also really shock resistant, right? Shock resistant 15 just like on regular units is like kind of unheard of, unless sacreds on the bless. Sure, but just for regular troops. So and because air magic can be so nasty, just having kind of a front line of these guys that are like somewhat immune to like lightning and thunderstrike is really handy. But you really do want to give them there's like we're getting, I think it's mass protection, and it just gives like bark skin to everybody, right, which is like just 10 natural protection, right? So even something like that on these guys would help a lot in terms of their survivability. So we'll see, like he might be using, interesting. So he's got some earth boots to boost him up, maybe for like strength of giants or something. But then he's got some nature gems here. But he might be spamming out like, I don't know, maybe some wooden warriors or something, which is like the smaller AoE rather than mass protection, which is army wide. So you might have this guy here to like try to solve that issue. Because anyway, it's really easy to like lose these guys if you're not protecting them, and then that kind of sucks because like trying to build them back up is like expensive and time consuming. So anyway, you see these a lot. They're pretty good, but yeah, I mean they definitely have weak. They're not. You need something else to do some killing for sure. But yeah, kind of a good blocker, good front line. And we've seen these guys before. I mean, they have a ton of attacks. And yeah, hopefully they'll get blessed up. I think last time we saw them, they weren't blessed. And they didn't do so hot like against the Giganti hoplites, which, I mean, lots of things don't do so hot against them. But we'll see. And then, Nature Caster with like a ton of gems, Thistle Mace boosting him up, like maybe going to have a go at Howl, which is a little dangerous with an N3, but, he has like decent amount, because he's a giant, has solid hit points, so he'd probably survive a casting of it. Could be like mass protection, which again would like really help, these summons. And let's see here, this guy, some earth gems, maybe to like, strength of giants, or maybe even weapons of sharpness, which like we researched. And then he's got some of his sacreds here. So anyway, I mean like this is looking like a really, really strong force. It's gonna roll over this. I just kind of want to see what this mage does, and we'll see if this is enough to like trigger gem use too. Like be interesting to see. Yeah, you can see even just the arrows. So what did this guy cast? Okay, cast protection. Okay, so that's not as good as Wooden Warriors, because it's a smaller area of effect, I believe. So we got like this corpse construct, right? His protection is 10, because there's a number of spells that give like that bark skin effect, which is always like natural protection 10. And I mean, since these corpse constructs have no natural protection, they're getting the full benefit of the spell. Whereas if you cast it on something that like already has a bunch of natural protection, then it's usually not really like worth it. But yeah, I mean you'll see like most of these guys are still going to be 0, right? Because it's just a really small. In fact, I think that spell is like only his square. And these guys are size 3, so they're a little harder to buff up, right? Because like the smaller the unit, like the smaller size, the more like those individual units you're going to get with like a 1 square buff, right? So size 1 troops are like really easy to buff up, whereas like full size, size 6 giants, like full giants are, the hardest to buff up in mass. These guys are, they're in between, but at 1 square, like, that shaman is probably not going to get close to everybody. I mean, he's going to get very few guys. And then, it looks like we got some super combatants in here too. Another horror mark, I think. Okay, well, hopefully he doesn't, hopefully no more horror summoning. And this guy's like super kitted out. A lot of gems on both of these guys. So let's see, what did this guy do? Oh, Phoenix Pyre. I don't know if we've talked about this one. It gives like limited invulnerability. So yeah, when they die, they'll explode, which is interesting, and then they'll resurrect as long as they're not unconscious from high fatigue. And then I think dying, gives you a lot of fatigue. So unless you have some way to, counteract fatigue really quickly, or you don't die that often, you usually only get maybe like 1 or 2 uses out of this. But I mean, if you're already tough to kill and you have good like fatigue recovery, like this can be really annoying to deal with, because it's like, you kill them and then they blow up and then they show up somewhere else in the battlefield and then you gotta go kill them, right? And which could take a second if it's a really geared out super combatant, and then they blow up, and anyway, yeah. So Phoenix Pyre, it's definitely a thing. This guy is probably just gonna blow up once. Yeah. Ooh. He almost got hit by some lightning there, and then yeah, the wolf trapper going in, but like yeah, they're gonna. Whoa, where did that guy go? I lost track of him. He probably cast flight on himself. I didn't see any shoes. Oh yeah. So he landed back here, it looks like, and exploded. Yeah, and I mean, he got, I don't know if all of these were still here. If they were, I mean, certainly looks like he got some of them. Oh yeah, and then here he is back here. So his fatigue wasn't too high, but yeah, now he's asleep. So if you were to kill him in this state, Phoenix Pyre wouldn't help you, right? He wouldn't respawn again. But he's only 105, so he will tick down. So yeah, that could get annoying. And then, yeah, some of these corpse constructs, like, yeah, no protection. That poor shaman is like, there's too many corpse constructs here. I can't, Okay, yeah, so it looks like most of these guys flew in, which, is probably good news, because otherwise they would have gotten taken out. So, yeah, but the corpse constructs are able to deal with the wolf tribe, like, no problem. And, they're getting hammered by the lightning and everything. It looks like maybe this guy might have died again, or, oh, you know what, he routed? Yeah, I mean, he can fly, so he can hop around. So when he woke up, he decided to, because I mean, usually if you route, you just fly off. So not sure why I decided to hop back there, maybe to get in combat with these guys. But yeah, kind of an interesting use of a mage. That's probably why that guy was like all diseased up and everything. It was just like, well, he's gonna die anyway, and like not that valuable, so like, screw it, like put him in with some PD, like, and throw him in, it's just kind of a suicide bomber. I haven't seen that before, but yeah, not a bad idea. I don't know how many, didn't get a ton of kills, right? Like got a few of these, and then a few corpse constructs went down, but yeah, not a bad idea. But anyway, yeah, this is a big army from Hinnom. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes, and I think it's pretty close to Macone's capital. And then we had our battle against Bogus and friends, so let's see how that goes. Testing out our gargoyles. So yeah, and then I had that mage that didn't go off. I don't think I discussed it, because yeah, terrible at remembering these things. I really shouldn't say I'm going to come back to stuff later, because yeah, I just don't. But anyway, let's see here. Yeah, and this guy doesn't have a gem now. So yeah, that's kind of rough. Let's see, does this guy have a gem? Nope. Our god can cast it, so that's good news. Can this guy? No, yeah, so it doesn't look like we have anybody set up, actually, that can actually pull off weapons of sharpness. But I believe why it didn't go off in the previous battle, actually, is if the enemy forces are small enough, and your forces are big enough, sometimes the mages will decide that it's not worth spending gems on. So yeah, and that's a whole nother like rabbit hole. People call it like gem burning, because people can intentionally, throw kind of suicidal attacks, that they know aren't going to work against like your really big armies, but that are going to trigger gem usage, right? And especially people will do that sometimes if you're going to attack that big old stack, and then they'll throw a magic phase attack first, designed to, burn like this big Doomstack's gems, and then they'll move a regular army in to fight the battle, and then of course a bunch of spells that need gems, won't go off. And then of course, sometimes people will put like double the amount of gems, with their casters on an army to make sure that it can't get baited, but then, you can try to bait multiple times. Anyway, it's back and forth, like how many gems do you invest? How much resources do you spend to like try to burn? So yeah, I don't, it's honestly kind of one of the like shittier parts of Dominions, because the gem micro is like a hassle anyway. So like anything that just increases that, like I'm not a big fan of gem baiting. I haven't gotten into too many like you see it most in like big late game battles, and I haven't played too many games like that. So I haven't experienced it a ton, but yeah, I don't love the idea of it. So I don't know if I'll go the route of doing a bunch of gem baiting, and I haven't been gem baited too much myself, but anyway, yeah. And some of the AI like not committing gems, when it's a small enough force, is an effort to like try to combat the gem baiting, because it's definitely like a part of the game that frustrates a lot of the community. And yeah, I could definitely see why. Is this guy maybe set up? Yeah, so I think this is our guy. It's kind of unfortunate that he ended up here with the Axe Warriors. Although actually, you know what? Yeah, so this guy can't. But our god will be able to. So our god is probably going to try to hit, hopefully going to hit these ones. And then actually, yeah, this 4. So he must be an Earth 3. He's got the boots. And then he doesn't need the gem, which is really nice. And that's another reason that, like, using gem spells, if you're not using gem spells, you can't get gem baited. So it's definitely a big advantage. And another advantage to having like higher level mages, right? Because if you're using gems even just to like boost yourself up to cast spells that normally don't need gems, then you're just that much more vulnerable to gem baiting. So anyway, this guy must be an Earth 3, and then we have the boots that's going to boost him up to 4. And then he's going to cast Summon Earth Power on himself to get himself up to 5. And then he's going to drop Weapons of Sharpness, hopefully, this time. Or maybe he thinks that, Bogus and crew like are no big deal. We'll see. So anyway, we just got, our Greatsword guys and the Terracotta Warriors, going out in front. Let's see. Yeah, so Summoning Earth Power. Yeah, this guy jumped in. This is kind of like part of like what the Axe Warriors are for. It's not the end of the world if they jumped in on the gargoyles, but yeah, I would prefer to get him tied up, while we, and we don't want him interrupting any of our casters. There we go. So yeah, that's Weapons of Sharpness. You can see it's pretty wide area of effect. Like we're gonna have gotten like maybe there's a couple gargoyles out here on the edge. Yeah, that didn't get it. It's this little icon here. But yeah, most of them got it. So that's good news. And then, yeah, we even got a little on our Axe Warriors. So, yeah, and then these guys are racing out ahead because, yeah, again, these guys are just really slow. So this is probably should have back positioned these guys a little bit more because, yeah, they're not going to have the advantage of the chaff to help them out. But, yeah, so let's see how our guys do with, this guy. He's definitely getting kills off. But, ooh, and I think that was an Incinerate right there, which we talked about last turn. That must have been, I think, yeah, probably this guy, yeah, because he's up to 3, and, yeah, he's really fatigued. Decently fatiguing spell to cast. But, yeah, you can see, like, Incinerate, it deals a lot of damage. It's a really good anti-elite spell. We didn't really even need the Weapons of Sharpness there for that guy. Like, Incinerate was enough. Yeah, one of our I think this was an adventurer who had a great sword, and yeah, Mind Burn, like it's also a pretty good anti-elite spell. Soul Slay is a little better, comes a little later in research. And then yeah, this is our Prophet. Prophets are good, so he got his magic resistance is not great actually for Bogus here. And I believe it's an MR check, so I think that's what happened. And then, yeah, here come the gargoyles, and yeah, you can see, like, there he goes. Another Incinerate coming down. I think that was from us, maybe on some wolves. Not sure who that got, but yeah, here come the gargoyles again. So we'll see how they do. This guy's a bunch of, he's got, he has glamour as well. Interesting. You don't normally see that on non-elves. And he may have cast Mirror Image on himself. Yeah, unfortunately, someone got distracted with the wolves, but yeah, you can see, like, once they stack up, like, no problem. So yeah, that looked like it went really well. I think that could be a viable strategy against the Neefle Jarls, if we do go up against them. So let's see. So yeah, we lost 2 adventurers. I guess one of the Mind Burn, and yeah. These guys, not a long lifespan, but we still got one. So hey, and then we lost 3 Axe Warriors. So yeah, I mean that, that's just about perfect. Like, hey, the adventurers I think even cost, yeah, look at this, 56 gold a year. Like, get out of here. So I mean, that's really almost a bonus in my book. And then, yeah, we found a bunch of gear. That is one of the nice things. Like, if you take Bogus out, like, you get some of that gear. And, some of it's good. And we got quite a bit of it. And that is one thing. You don't get gear if nobody can carry it. So, like, for instance, if, you're up against an enemy army that, has a bunch of different guys that are geared out, but you send in a super combatant who has all of his gear slots filled, and then that's the only person. Even if you win the battle, you won't find any gear because like he's not able to pick up any of that gear. So you only get finds like this if you have guys like with slots available, and you're not guaranteed to get gear. I don't actually know like what governs it. Maybe luck scale, although it doesn't seem like it. I don't know. Maybe misfortune doesn't matter that much. But anyway, yeah, you do have to have commanders with available slots. Otherwise, you won't find any gear, and you're not guaranteed to get all the gear. But yeah, so this is great. I like to see that. And then that unlocks our fort, so we can finally get some of those enchantresses. And then yeah, another battle. So this looks like it's Niflheim coming out, either counter-raiding or maybe coming out of one of their forts that was under siege. I think this was a fort. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Yeah, so I mean we've seen the Rimveti. Yeah, they're okay, I guess. I don't know, they didn't do so hot in the battle that we had against them. And then we got one Jarl here, and it looks like he's one that doesn't have such high death paths. I don't know if we've seen this particular one. So he's got endurance. This is a good trait to get, because he just gets extra reinvigoration, which is really nice. And then, we've talked about, all of this gear. And then, I think the death gems are just to get himself up so he can do that invulnerability and soul vortex. But only the one. And we contributed a lot. So, he doesn't have as many as he used to. But anyway, so this is Helheim. And you see, like, we couldn't see, like, we'll take a look too on the strategic map. But yeah, you can't see these guys because they're stealthy and glamour and blah, blah, blah. But he has quite a big army here. This is a lot of sacreds. These are the trolls that you get from the Troll King's court. So like that Sea King that's been running around, he came with all these trolls. This might be from multiple castings. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, they're not fantastic. They're better underwater because they get better regeneration. But they kind of have all the normal issues of trolls. No fire weakness, which is good. A little larger than normal, these sea trolls, so more hit points, but lower protection. And they kind of have like that classic, like just really low attack skill. They just have a hard time landing hits, and then they don't have great attack. They don't deal a lot of damage, basically. If they hit, they deal a lot of damage, but they don't get a lot of hits. But yeah, he's got, we're familiar with these. It looks like she's not kitted to do foul vapors. Probably some cold resistance, actually, would be a good call, as we well know. And then, this is an Ether Lord. This maybe is how he's getting, no, I think golems you need Astral Earth. But certainly a way, to get higher level Astral. It's a pretty expensive spell, I think, to summon these guys. You kind of need a lot of Astral already to get them. But they're a powerful caster. They're a pretty good chassis. Probably wouldn't thug. Certainly not a super combatant with like hit points this low. And in terms of thugging with him, he's got built-in ethereal, and his stats are actually not as good as I would have expected. So his stats are okay, but he's just so expensive that, to risk him in a thug situation, you don't see that too much. But he's a high astral caster. He's got some penetration gear. So these rune smashes are really good. It gives like extra penetration to certain types of spells. So like penetration, I don't believe matters at all for like the elemental spells. So like fire, earth, air, and water. The magic in Dominions is kind of split. So it's like those are the elemental paths, and then all the rest are the sorcery paths. So blood, death, nature, and astral. And so penetration generally doesn't matter. I certainly don't want to say never matters for elemental spells because, yeah, it's dominions. But generally doesn't matter for, elemental spells. So it's like, if you're hitting them with lightning bolts, or like some sort of cold blast, extra penetration usually doesn't really help. But for like astral spells are kind of like the quintessential spells that really want penetration gear, and then the penetration is to do with like the magic resistance. So stuff that has like magic resistance checks. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there definitely are some elemental spells that care about magic resistance. So pretty much any time that you have a magic resistance check, that the enemy would get when you're casting the spell against them, some extra penetration is going to help. So anyway, yeah, really good for spellcasters, particularly good for this guy because he's, big astral. And his astral's getting boosted up a little bit. We've seen this booster. Some cold resistance gear. Yep, smart. Reinvigoration, always nice for casters. And then this is more penetration. And it gets this Fool's Luck, which is, you don't see that too much. This may be the only place. I'm sure there's other places you can get it, but kind of rare. So yeah, it's like luck. Well, no, it's more like twist fate, I guess. So your first hit, you're fine, like it just does nothing. But then yeah, second hit you get twice the normal damage. So yeah, kind of just a weird. I mean, he's a caster, right? So hopefully he won't be getting hit at all. So and the extra penetration is really nice. But yeah, kind of an interesting item. And then yeah, this Eye of the Void, even more penetration. This is also tainted and cursed. Cursed items, you can't remove them, right? Like once you slot them into a unit, like they're stuck there, which can really kind of suck. Because this is a useful item for sure. But since commanders will pick up gear, if they pick up a cursed item after a battle, you're just stuck with that. And like there's a few items that cause them to be like berserkers and just like go berserk, and they're cursed. And so like if your mage just picks up like I think it's a berserker pelt, it's like you're just kind of screwed. Like they're a berserker now. Like hope that wasn't a critical mage. Definitely potentially a reason to give them some armor of their own, right? It's like if it's like, oh crap, like what I'm going up against has a berserker pelt, maybe give some of your best mages just some armor, and then that way they can't pick up that pelt because the slot's already full. So anyway, yeah, so this is cursed, so once it's slotted in, you can't get rid of it, and it's tainted, so eventually horrors. But just more penetration, although it does reduce his magic resistance, and then gives spirit sight, which mostly doesn't matter. It just means perfect dark vision. And then yeah, they can also see invisible units, which doesn't come up too much, but I mean they're out there, so yeah, it doesn't come up a ton, but not a bad thing to have. So anyway, yeah, this guy's decked out for like maximum spell penetration. Doesn't have any gems, so yeah, we'll see what he's gonna cast. Maybe just like some Soul Slay or something. And then yeah, here's our Golem. Maybe not the same Golem because he doesn't have the same gear. Does have some astral boosting and some astral pearls. So yeah, gonna be seeing some spells out of him. Let's see. Yeah, we've seen these Jarls before. This guy's probably just caster mode. No thug gear on him. Yeah, trying to like. Like how many elves are there? Like I can't even tell you. This mirror image is making it difficult for me. This guy's got some thug gear. Anyway, there's a bunch of these Van Jarls in here. They're gonna do like nasty things. Like a storm might go up, so we might see like some Thunderstrike spam, which is just a really good area evocation. Here's these Valkyries. They're sacred. They get to fly. They have really high defense. They're gonna love the bless that he puts on them. If I recall, it's a pretty good bless. So like yeah, Helheim actually gets like 2 strong sacreds because we've seen these guys before. They're good. I think we've seen the Valkyries, but maybe not in like major engagements. But yeah, they're pretty cool. And then he's just got a couple of these great eagles, which are really good at sieging. Siege strength is I don't know. I'm sure there's some unit that's better, but you can summon great eagles in relatively large numbers if you have a powerful enough aircaster. They get the siege bonus. So anyway, you see these great eagles a lot in terms of like sieging forts down. This isn't a ton of them, but still, it's adding a lot of siege strength for not too much investment. So anyway, yeah, I mean, this is a really scary army. Like this, that's a lot of stuff. And I mean, I just skipped over a lot of this, like, elven bullshit. Like, who knows? There's probably more bad stuff in here. So yeah, I think this Jarl is screwed. Certainly these Rimvetti are not long for this world, assuming that this is halfway decently scripted. And I mean, Helheim, yeah, he seems like he's a good player. So I think we're about to watch a Jarl get absolutely wrecked. So yeah, there's a communion going down. Haven't seen too many of those. Yeah, so this guy's, the communion master. We'll see. Yeah, Winter Ward coming down. So yeah, some of that cold resistance stuff. Let's see. Yeah, more Winter Ward here coming from somebody. Holy Avenger on all these guys. So those, and we've seen that. That's that, holy damage spell that comes down if they die. So some of these guys are probably going in to be thugs. Because, anybody that you're going to be risking, like in melee, it's kind of nice to have that Holy Avenger. So if they do go down, you get some extra hits off. And yeah, I mean, we know what the Jarl's doing, so we'll just, yeah. Oh, okay. So somebody cast Darkness. One of the elven guys that I missed. So yeah, some of these guys I think are the cap only commanders. And yeah, they get pretty high like death, and you get some blood magic in there. Yeah, man, Helheim is so good. That's cool. I'll have to play as Helheim sometime. This guy's even got some fear because he's so high on death. So like, for all the paths of magic, they have like just some benefit. If you get like really high level, like at a certain tipping point, I think it probably actually depends on the path of magic when the effect starts to happen. Because like some of the more powerful effects, like fear, you have to be like pretty high. Like this is a relatively low value of fear. And he's death 5, and I'm pretty sure like for nature mages, even like N1s, certainly by N2, you get the supply bonus. And so you just supply units in your army just because, you're a nature mage. And so, if you're like a, N10, you're going to do a ton of supply bonus. So yeah, the more powerful you are, like in any individual path, like there's just certain beneficial effects that you get. Like, if you're really powerful earth mage, you just get some extra protection. So anyway, for death, you get fear, which is useful, but it probably not. In fact, yeah, this is probably the guy that cast, so what went up is Darkness, which you probably surmise from the background. But yeah, so that's rough for anybody. So, I was talking about Spirit Sight not really mattering, but yeah, it's definitely going to matter now. And I don't know if he has, I think Divine Blessing went down. Does he have, So it doesn't look like he has Dark Vision on his Bless or Spirit Sight on his Bless, which is usually what you see if you're going to be doing something like this where you're casting Darkness. And then you can put one of those abilities on your Bless, right? And then, your Sacreds are going to be fine. And then, if the enemy isn't prepared for it, which, these guys probably aren't. Right, so like, yeah, they're getting a -6 bonus to like attack skill, defense skill, like a lot of different skills, are getting a real hefty penalty because of the darkness. Now, they are getting a bonus from cold, so it's offset, 50% here, so that's good for Niflheim. But anyway, yeah, but then, yeah, it's interesting. He doesn't have it on the Bless, so hang on, why? Oh, wow, shoot. So I guess maybe Spirit Sight is just built into these Hellherdings. Wow. That's really good. What about these Valkyries? Oh, yeah. They have Spirit Sight as well. Wow. So, yeah, that's just a really good thing, I guess, for Helheim to be casting. Because he doesn't even need to take it on the Bless, it looks like. Wow. So, yeah, this is good news, right? Because with Spirit Sight, it's just perfect. Like, they get no penalty, because of darkness. So, yeah, that's a really good idea for him to be casting. So, yeah, let's see. What else we got going on? I think I heard some blood magic happenings. Mist form, probably for the thugs. The Hellherdings are going in. That's going to be scary. I'm trying to see. Okay, yeah, so he's just doing some soul slay. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, it's just really powerful kill spell. I think it's like technically like 999 damage, but it's not even, it's like a symbolic value. Basically, it's like if you get hit with a soul slay and you get a magic resistance check, but if you fail that, you're just dead. You're dead. So yeah. Now, it's like one at a time, and it does actually build up a decent amount of fatigue. you know, and it only targets one unit, right? So it's like, you know, against all these, like, you know, Helheim, it's kind of like, you know, soul slaying them one at a time, like whatever. But it is really good, you know, kind of like an anti-elite, you know, measure, right? Because if he sent in only like one Jarl or even like 4 or 5 Jarls, right, to attack this army, then yeah, Soul Slay is a great way, you know, to get around him. And I've been talking about how, you know, putting magic resistance gear on your super combatants and to a lesser extent your thugs is really important. And yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why, because, you know, they might just get soul slayed, and it's like, hey, you know, you're a hero and your attack skill and defense skill is great, you know, and your, you know, protection is impossible to beat, and you got soul vortex and you're super cool, and then soul slay. So this is a good addition, really probably like an anti-super combatant, anti-elite, you know, measure to have in this army, because I mean, obviously, like the hell hurtings and stuff are going to clean up, like for instance, say like these Helheim. So yeah, I mean, again, this is just a scary army. Like, it's well built, it's got like good magic support, it's got anti-elite support built into it, it's got freaking scary troops, it's got a battlefield global that's going down, that's going to screw over other armies, you know, and anybody that's not prepared. And like, yeah, like these poor Helheim, or Rimvedi, sorry, Helheim's a nation, late age nation. So yeah, I mean, they at least have, you know, yeah, kind of decent defense. I don't know, I don't think this is gonna, yeah, they're just getting erased. They are fatiguing these guys out. So I mean, he was casting, I don't know what this is, nothing good. Yeah, see, so some of these guys got some cold resistance, but he didn't manage to hit everybody. So what was that? Oh, Doom. That was probably Doom. It's probably also coming, it's got to be coming from Helheim. It's an astral spell, and that just curses everybody. I don't even know if you get a check against it. So yes, this guy's cursed now. Like, just everybody on Niflheim's side, yeah, is just cursed. Like, everybody. And I don't, yeah, like I said, I don't even think you get a check against it. It's just, yeah, everybody's cursed now. And that just means you're more likely to get permanent afflictions. Also really good against like elites and super combatants, like really less good against like these Rimvedi, you know, because I mean, okay, well, this guy's already almost dead, but you know, with only 10 hit points, like a lot of times if they get hit, they just die, you know, so it's like, stacking up a bunch of afflictions on, like, it's like this guy's mute, like his magic skills are halved, like, whatever, like, not a mage. But anyway, yeah, like against these Jarls, you know, that could matter a lot. And then, of course, yeah, these Valkyries, like, have jumped in on the Jarl. Now, it does look like he got through most of his buff script. Yeah, so he's got his invulnerability, he's got his soul vortex, you know, he's got his regeneration. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen, like, they're pretty tough. I think we can safely say that these Helheim are really screwed. So let's take a look and see how this is going. So you can see, like, yeah, I mean, his protection is pretty good, right? 23, nothing amazing. But yeah, I mean, these Valkyries, like, they don't have the best strength, you know, it's just regular weapon, no magic weapons on the bless or anything. They don't have a magic weapon, they just have this light lance. I don't even think this gets, oh, it does get a charge bonus. That's nice. But it's not like a super high damage weapon, so they are struggling a bit, like they're just getting chip damage. And some of them are getting frozen here, right, because he doesn't have cold resistance on the bless, and it looks like, okay, some of them he did get with cold resistance. So yeah, he doesn't have like an army-wide, like AoE or a battlefield-wide cold resistance. He's kind of just using those winter wards, which is the same thing I was using, because he just doesn't have the research yet for the battlefield-wide, like, resistance buffs, which are pretty high. I think it's 8 in, like, I don't know, enchantment or alteration. Anyway, it's very high-level research, so, you know, it's tough to get that. But anyway, he has managed to get some of them with cold resistance, and you see that really matters, right? The ones that didn't get hit, yeah, they're just fatiguing out, and yeah, and then he killed them. Because these Valkyries do rely a lot, you know, on their defense. Wow, this one's really experienced. So yeah, really high defense skill. You know, I mean, their protection is good. This has probably been boosted, maybe from the invulnerability. I thought that didn't show up. They might have had another buff cast on them. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's better than I thought. Are they all like that? Yeah, wow. Okay. Wonder if he hit him with a spell. Maybe I have to check that. But yeah, so generally the Valkyries don't rely as much, you know, on their protection. Because, yeah, this doesn't really add up. Like, this lightweight scale mail is only protection 11. But anyway, when they freeze out, you know, they lose the defense skill. And then, of course, you know, these guys, they hit like a truck. So, but you can see, like, our guys melt. right, to the soul vortex, right? But like these Valkyries, like, you know, this guy's not getting any like of the green ticks coming up. And I mean, okay, there's like one maybe from his regen as they get damage, right? But like, you know, most of these Valkyries, like they don't even have, like, some of the fatigue is a problem, but they don't even have any damage at all, right? And I mean, that's because, like, look at this magic resistance, right? They have magic resistance 21. I wonder if he might have some. Yeah, he's got 2 on the bless, but I mean, they already have like just base, like really good magic resistance. So this is a really good choice of troop, other than the fact that they're struggling, you know, to actually get the damage output. This is where like weapons of sharpness would really help. And I mean, he probably just doesn't have the earth casters for that. You know, I mean, not until you get late game. Once you get late game, then you want to have everything, because, you know, really experienced players will find a way to wriggle into like every useful spell, you know, and then their guys are just going to be ridiculous. But, you know, we're not quite late game, you know, kind of like mid game, late mid game ish. You know, and you're not going to have everything. And, you know, I don't think Helheim gets a ton of Earth access. So anyway, but yeah, good choice of troop to go after these Soul Vortex guys. And you really see the difference between like Alms, you know, really crappy MR, and then, you know, here's a bunch of imps, and that's just a blood spell, somebody summon them. But yeah, you know, the difference between Alm's crappy magic resistance and Valkyries. You know, and I mean, they're still not able to take this guy down, so we'll see. Yeah, and like no more Rimvetti. Poor Rimvetti. I don't think they did a whole lot of damage. It's hard to tell. Yeah, he's doing some undead. You know, these aren't. I guess these are technically soulless, not skeletons. Skelly spam is like kind of the classic term, but this is basically skelly spam, and a lot of it. Right, and that just kind of rounds things out, right? He's got a bunch of these like really elite troops, you know. I mean, he does, and he has a lot of them. But I mean, still, like numbers wise, like, you know, I can build bigger armies than this. So just, you know, crappy almost troops without too much difficulty. You know, and he doesn't have a ton of these trolls. Like they're really kind of more like elite troops. So he doesn't have like a ton of numbers, right? And, you know, for guys like this, now I mean, you know, he did get his protection up pretty good. But like normally these Hell Herdings kind of rely a bit more on their defense skill. And so if they're up against, you know, say like a huge mass of Almish Axe Warriors who can harass the defense skill down, then it's like, okay, yeah, sure, they're going to kill the Axe Warriors, but, you know, if you outnumber them enough, I mean, we've seen that, right? The first opponent that I fought, you know, it's like where, you know, decent troops in large numbers can take down like smaller groups of Sacreds. But then, of course, not if there's a bunch of, you know, undead coming in, like, you know, to just make up the numbers, right? And then Axe Warriors would get tied up, you know, with these undead. So again, just a really well-built army. Like, this is scary. This is really scary to see. Like, I don't think I could beat this. Not with what I have right now. Yeah, maybe not ever, because again, our research hasn't been great. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to fight this. This would be bad. This would be an existential threat for sure. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even really need the skelly spam here. So we'll see. Maybe the Jarl. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. And then of course, as the you know, Rimvetti get killed, right? And yeah, I think he's routing. Probably a army HP route. But yeah, he got hit with a paralyze for like 47, and that's another astral spell, I think. I mean, there are other ways to get paralyzes. You know, let's just check real quick. I'm kind of curious. But yeah, it is an astral spell, and it can be, as long as you have another way to kill the unit, then yeah, it's a really good spell. Wait a minute. Let's see. I think it's probably this Ether Lord. Oh, no. Interesting. Wait. Oh, wow. Okay, so he's just using them for Raise Dead. I could have sworn that there was, this guy threw a Soul Slay in there. Maybe it was the Golem. No, the Golem cast Doom. Yeah, so it looks like the Golem is the one who was casting the Paralyze. I don't know who cast that Soul Slay. Anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah, the Astral Spell, pretty good, especially against like these super combatants. So like, yeah, now I mean, you know, no attack, no defense. You know, all he's got is his protection, and yeah. So we'll see if these Hell Herdings, who probably also have, yeah, really good MR, right? So it's like, yeah, you know, Soul Vortex, like whatever. We're not all. And yeah, I mean, they're not dealing a ton of damage, more than the Valkyries. Like, they probably have better strength. 14. Yeah, this one's been weakened. Yeah, not much better strength. Again, strength can be a bit of an issue for elves, but I think it's going to be enough. Although, Yeah, I mean, well, I got a 20 in there. That was a nice hit. Yeah, I mean, he's got the regeneration. We'll see. But, I mean, he's been routed, and he's so paralyzed. He's super paralyzed. I think that the number down there at the bottom is the number of turns, I think. And, that's a really, that's the rest of the battle. If that's true. 44 that's a lot. So, yeah, let me speed this up. Yeah, so they got him. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he's super paralyzed. So, yeah. Bye-bye to another Jarl. And yeah, I mean, losing those Rimvetti like that hurts. Let's see if they did anything right in the battle report. Not really. A few Valkyries went down. That was to the Jarl probably mostly. Yeah, so the Jarl's got some kills. And I mean, some of these might be soulless, right? Because it's these when they kill summoned units, that counts in the report. So yeah, sometimes the reports you look at them and you're like, what? This doesn't add up at all. This is bananas. And it's because they're killing a lot of summoned units that don't show up here. So anyway, some of these kills might be soulless. Yeah, I mean, so you lost 2 Sacreds, some Trolls, whatever. Definitely a great trade, for all this. So yeah, that's a terrifying army from Helheim. And it is looking like Niflheim is probably not long for this world. And actually, watching this battle prompted me to contact the Niflheim player on Discord and talk about an official end of the war, and even a NAP, a non-aggression pact, to try to give him even more security in feeling like he can move out and use all of his forces against Helheim. Because honestly, at this point, it's the more damage he can do to something like this and slow this down, the better for me. I mean, it's honestly probably a better use than even grabbing it. I mean, I'd love to grab his capital, but I cannot kill these kind of armies from Niflheim this easily. So if I go in, and again, right, it's that situation we've talked about, something like this, could easily clean up a weakened Niflheim and then also a weakened, me. So yeah, basically, once I saw this, I'm like, well, the war with Niflheim is over because Helheim could easily eat us both. So yeah, and then we caught, I think this is, in Xibalba. So this is the tail end, it looks like, of the Vanheim-Xibalba war. So let's take a quick look at that. I think this is an assault. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, speaking of elves, it's just all elves all the time now. So yeah, are these guys, oh, okay, they get some darts. I was like, this is another melee unit on the walls, but no, they actually get, some ranged attacks, unlike Abyssia. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Xibalba. They're the frogs and bat people. They're kind of a crazy nation. And they do a lot of blood as well. I think these beast bats are blood summons. Yeah, and they're sacred, so they're kind of cool, I guess. I don't know, low protection, high defense skill, decent hit points, venomous fangs, paralyzing. That's pretty good kind of poison, I think. Also don't do a ton of poison. But yeah, anyway, so, and it looks like they're already blessed, and I think that's their pretender god must be around here somewhere. So yeah, anytime you're in your own dominion and you're in a battle with your god present, all of your sacred units are just automatically blessed. You don't even have to cast any spells or anything. So yeah, I mean, he's got a bunch of these beast bats, so we'll see. And then, he's got a bunch of these are casters, pretty powerful casters too from the look of it, although no gems, and no blood slaves either. So I mean, yeah, either he doesn't have the right research, or maybe he's just completely out, or I mean, I don't know. Maybe the player morale broke, and it's just this is a cap assault, and so the war is probably not going well, and maybe didn't script it completely. So let's see what he's up against. Yeah, so I mean, we've seen these guys before, these Vanheers. So I mean, it's just a ton of Vanheers. This is really upsetting to see. Because Vanheim also borders us. Absolute worst case scenario, Helheim and Vanheim attacks simultaneously and then just completely obliterates me, which is, yeah, eminently possible. Just another reason that it's just piecing out with Niflheim at this point, I think, is the best move, because it's about to be the time of the scary elves. Well, I mean, for poor Xibalba. I think probably like most of the game has been the time of the scary elves. Now let's see again, like I don't know how many casters he has. Some, so he's got them geared out. These are very similar, like slightly different paths, I think. But yeah, like those Helheim, thugs that we've seen, like almost exactly the same kind of. In fact, they may even have the same name, Van Jarls. I think they do. So yeah, I mean, we're familiar with that. And then yeah, they also have these Van Herses who are a little lamer. Air 1. It looks like most of these guys, yeah, this is really heavy kitting for a Van Jarl. 73. I hope that doesn't refer to the number of Van Jarls that he has. He might be just putting some big numbers out there to put some extra scare into people. But anyway, yeah, so it looks like these guys are just kitted out. It doesn't look like a lot of mage support. Which, yeah, I mean, but I mean, he probably doesn't need it. Like, these Van Heers are so scary, and then, all these thugs, yeah, I mean, this would be real scary to go up against. Let's see, are you doing any casting at all? Yeah, he is, but like thug casting, it looks like mostly. So you got a Divine Blessing. Oh, and actually, I'm going to eat my words here because, yeah, he casts Storm. And somebody else cast Quagmire. So yeah, you see Storm a lot. Air is a little weird, so like we cast Summon Earth Power all the time to buff ourselves in Earth Power. But with Air, you can't cast. There is a summon Storm Power, and that's the way to boost yourself one in Air Magic temporarily for the battle. But it doesn't do anything unless there's a storm up. And you can actually like precast it, so you can cast like summon Storm Power. And then if later a storm comes up, then you do get that bonus. It's not like you don't have to worry too much about the timing. I think this changed from Dominions 4 because I heard that used to be a little dicey to script sometimes, but you don't have to worry about it in Dominions 5. But anyway, so yeah, you see storms come up a lot for these air nations, and then it also increases the strength of anything that has storm power, which most often is air elementals. Air elementals have storm power, so they love to see storms. Storms also prevent most flying units from flying. So, might like where I've been like throwing, random bugs and, random flyers and stuff at people's backlines. Storm is one way to, help prevent that. And it does take a second to cast. So, if you have like some undisciplined flyers or some flyers that just go in like on turn 1, you can often get those guys in, but then you can't do any buffing, and then any flying reinforcements, like that's not going to happen. So anyway, Storm is a really good way to mess with a lot of flyers, as long as they don't have. I think it's, I can't remember. There is a way. There's an ability that lets you fly during storms, which of course air elementals also have. And then storms also increase like the damage from like say like thunder strikes or lightning strikes, like any kind of like air magic. So anyway, for these big air nations, you tend to see storms, and then also messes with projectiles, all projectiles, including like magical ones. So like fireballs are more likely to miss, and I think even like something like 50% or 30% of arrows are just like lost in the storm. So in addition to being less accurate, like just some of the missile fire just never arrives. So it's a really good, and he doesn't have like basically any, right? These guys just want to chop stuff. They don't want to get hit with missile fire. So yeah, if you're kind of archer heavy for some reason, maybe you're a fool like me, you don't want to be casting Storm. But for an army like this, like Storm is just kind of all upside. So anyway, yeah, Storm, you see that a lot for sure. And then somebody's doing Horde of Skeletons. Let's see what Xibalba's doing over here. He's probably the one. Yeah, so this is legit Skelly spam, and a little bit better, I think, because these Long Dead have like slightly better stats. They're still not like great fighters, but you can get them in pretty big numbers. And then yeah, this guy looks like cast Quagmire. Not as familiar with this. Yeah, so if you don't have Swamp Survival, which is something you can take on your Bless, or like some units just have it, kind of like we have like Mountain Survival and Forest Survival on Ulm. I think all the terrain types that like slow you down have like an associated survival trait with them. But anyway, it looks like, yeah, your stats just you get hurt if you don't have Swamp Survival, and you're slower. And really, the encumbrance is a big one. Because that's just going to like fatigue units out that don't have this Swamp Survival. And I'm assuming, hopefully, he's got Forest Survival. Is this guy Forest Survival? I guess the bats probably don't care. I wonder if it specifies on Quagmire. Let's see here. Doesn't actually say, but I'm guessing that the bats don't care because they're flying. Although I'm not sure how that interacts with Storm, because they don't have like Storm Flyer or Storm Immunity or whatever. So yeah, I don't know if that means they count as walking and are now affected by Quagmire. Not sure how that interacts. Yeah, was blessed? No. So yeah, anyway, but the fatigue can really matter. And then, of course, the skeletons, right? And like they're undead. Fatigue is not a thing for undead. So, I mean, it's a good play with that, like some skeleton spam, combined with Quagmire. And of course, like these Vanheers, like all they want to do is get close and chop you. So slowing them down and, and they have decent encumbrance, actually. Yeah, I don't even think that guy, he hadn't, well, wow, these guys have been fighting. Pretty afflicted up. Wow, yeah. Can we even find somebody that... Yeah, wow, one of them got cursed. So, okay, I mean, that's good news. Okay, yeah, these guys aren't. But yeah, decently high encumbrance here. Oh, yeah, okay, right, of course, swamp penalty. Okay, so not, like, terrible encumbrance normally, but with that swamp penalty, like, yeah, this is pretty high. So anyway, yeah, just slowing these guys down and giving them some more encumbrance, I would say that's definitely a good move. So yeah, maybe this was scripted. Maybe it really is. I mean, he's down to his capital, so he might be out of gems and magic resources. So yeah, summoning some storm power. So maybe not going to use these guys as thugs, and we might see some thunderstrike spam. Oh no, air elemental spam. So yeah, okay, what is it? Storm immunity. Okay, so yeah, so they can fly during storms. And then, yeah, here's storm power. So, yeah, they just get boosted stats, like attack and defense because of the storm. Interesting. They do get a penalty due to the swamp. And these guys are flying. So, yeah. Actually, let's check the bats real quick. Okay, yeah, and then... Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. Okay, that is Wrathful Skies. I think this might be our first battlefield wipe that we've seen. And so, yeah, that's just like a class of spells, like not an official class, sort of unofficially, that they target the whole battlefield. I don't know if there's one for each school, but there's definitely a couple, like Firestorm is like another really classic one. But yeah, this is the air one. So let's see, what does it say? Yeah, so just lightning all over the place, everywhere. And then, it's I think this might be the Thunderstrike damage. Not 100% sure, but it's pretty nasty. Like, you get hit with one of these bolts, unless you have a lot of shock resistance, like, you're dead. And maybe even people nearby are in trouble, too. And you can cast it without Storm, but when you do have Storm up, it doubles the number of lightning strikes, which is really good. So I'm assuming Valheim has... shock resistance. I hope he has shock resistance on his bless. Yeah, he does. So 15, but we'll see, because I don't think 15 is going to fully block. So it's going to hurt Valheim a little bit here as well. But yeah, I mean, this also would be, we do not have shock resistance on our bless, like, nor, we're not even really using our sacreds. So yeah, this would also be really scary to go up against, because it's like he's got the really killy guys and the thugs, and then, he's got Wrathful Skies here. So anyway, yeah, this is going to start erasing guys. He has some Earth Elementals coming out. You see this Earth Elemental got stunned. Yeah, he's like halfway dead. These Earth Elementals tend to have like quite a bit of, like this guy, he survived at least. Does this guy have some shock resistance on his bless? Yeah, see, he's got 10 shock resistance on his bless. Right, I don't know how much health does this guy have normally? Yeah, 31. He's got 6 left because he at least managed to tank one of those lightning strikes. If he hadn't, I think he'd probably be dead. Like if he didn't have that shock resistance. So yeah, I mean, even with and this is 10, so the Vanheers have a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, lightning, it's no joke. And then, yeah, the air elementals jumping in, like, causing some problems. And, the undead are really going to struggle with these because, these guys are ethereal. So, yeah, the casters might be able to get them. And I don't know about the beast bats. They have withering weapons at least. So, yeah, that's probably where this decay is coming from. And I think, like, that 5 ticking up there is, like, decay damage, right, because he's decaying. Yeah, so this air elemental is going to become an old man soon. Well, maybe not soon. So yeah, decay not so great against air elementals, and then of course just lightning coming down, and then of course don't forget, like, so many of these Vanheers, and you can see like they're really kind of taking their time to get over here. Oh wait, this is a wolf. So yeah, a phantasmal wolf, pretty fast. Here's a Vanheer. Probably took a lightning strike. Realistically, that's where this damage is coming from, I would guess. But yeah, so he's been reduced. And then, he's got some encumbrance, which is getting hurt, from the quagmire. So normally they're a lot faster than this. And yeah, they're kind of getting spread out a bit and, taking their sweet time getting up. But they're coming. In the meantime, just lightning and air elementals and more lightning. And yeah, this is just really rough. This is rough to go up against, honestly. I'm not even sure. I mean, shock resistance, definitely. This is something that maybe, we talked a little bit about gem baiting. Wrathful Skies is definitely something that takes some gems, maybe more than one. Some spells are pretty significant in terms of the gem investment that you need. Like, for instance, off the top of my head, I know, like, Master and Slave takes 8 Astral Pearls for, like, 1 casting. So yeah, some of these bigger spells, it's like, you can see why, like, and this is so powerful, right? So if you could bait this out and then, who cast this? 71. Let's see if he has, see if we can find him. 37, like, yeah, sure, buddy. 29, okay. Oh boy, this is going to be such a hassle to find him. Anyway, he may not have any gems left, right? So you can see, like, if you can bait that out and then your army doesn't have to face off against Wrathful Skies, like, that's just going to make such a difference. So yeah, I mean, gem baiting, it makes sense. Yeah, I don't think, there's no way that I see Xibalba winning this, because, like, the skeletons, like, they're just not going to be enough against his van here. Like, there's no, like, real, I guess the bats maybe would be the killing power of this, because, the poison, and, their damage is okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of, like, killing power. Maybe some of these mages, I guess, but they're kind of spending a lot of their time summoning skeletons, which, again, is not a bad play. Like, you do need some sort of front line, which he didn't really have. And they're not affected by the quagmire, but you can see, like, these guys just don't care about skeletons. Like, they're just chopping. I guess possibly if these guys fatigued out completely, and lost, their protection isn't fantastic. I mean, really, these guys, their defense mostly is a fantastic offense, right? It's like, you don't get a ton, and that's probably also why, like, they're so afflicted up, because they do take hits, like, their protection isn't fantastic. They get some extra from Berserk, but the Berserking drops their defense skill, right? So, like, they take hits and their protection isn't enough to prevent those hits from doing damage. But, like, they kill guys so fast that it kind of doesn't matter, But if they were to fall asleep, like, yeah, then skeletons definitely, could kill them. So maybe not the worst play, actually. That's probably the plan, is fatigue the Van Heers out, just hope that the lightning doesn't, kill you in the meantime, and then the skeletons can get them while they're asleep. But yeah, I just don't think it's enough, And I mean, again, he's in his capital getting assaulted, so... if it was working, he wouldn't be in this situation. But, like, still not a bad strategy, I feel like. I mean, this is tough to go up against, like, all these Van Heers, and Wrathful Skies and everything. Like, this is rough. So, yeah. Let's see, did he even really get... So, I mean, I got 10 Van Heers, like, that's nothing to be ashamed of, and, like, 1 Van Hearst, but, like, yeah, this, we may see this in our future, because, like, this is still ready to go, so hopefully not, and, yeah, he lost everything, and that's probably, no, he hasn't been eliminated, but, yeah, that was his capital, and we'd seen that, like, it wasn't going too well, so, yeah, I think Xibalba is done. And yeah, the elves looking really scary right now, both Helheim and Vanheim. And then, yeah, we had another battle here where Helheim is attacking. Let's see. Okay, this is a fort assault by 1 Vanhurst with a Frostbrand. This is pretty cheeky. Let's see, is it going to work out? Probably not. But I mean, super low investment. I guess, this is one way to see, like, what's in there, and if nothing is in there, then you'll just take it. So kind of an interesting way to, like, sort of scout out and maybe take the fort easily for, like, not much investment, right? Like, this is just 5 gems or less if he has hammers, and, people usually have hammers if they can get them. I think they have enough earth that he can have hammers, so even less gems, and these guys, I think, I don't know, they're like, I forget how much gold they are, but not a ton. He's probably has plenty of these guys. He's just summoning some phantasmal warriors, so he's not even choosing to go in and use his, I'm not sure he has the Frostbrand. That might have been a mistake in his scripting, or, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, a little light in terms of investment to take out all this. Niflheim does have a defense prepared for this fort, but yeah, kind of an interesting strategy, like a mix between scouting and maybe take it if it's empty, because sometimes forts are empty. Then you waste a turn by like pinging a scout in, and so yeah, interesting strategy. And then yeah, of course, false prophet, and then people don't believe in my boar. Just standard stuff. And then an earth gnome failed to get somebody, and then yeah, some patrolling here. So yeah, we'll go ahead and we're pulling this army back. And again, that's because like I just don't, I don't want to fight Niflheim at this point, right? It's like we got like these scary elves that are now very much our neighbors, and they're just mowing through them. And then like we got these scary elves, right, who just basically finished their war. Like it's all scary elves on our border now, and we just can't afford, like, this is still scary for us. He's got 2 Nifl Jarls, and then he's got the White Mage, that's from the Twiceborn, so this is also basically like a Nifl Jarl. 3 Jarls, like, and a bunch of stuff, and probably some casters. I don't know. I don't really want to slam into that. I'm not convinced to be able to take that with no losses, even with like the gargoyle strategy. And then that would leave us open to like this really scary army, or maybe this really scary army. So I'm talking to Niflheim, to just call it, and then hopefully you can do something against this. But yeah, there's a decent chance that we go down to elves, and then also starting to look. Right, like this army is advancing, it's looking decently convincing. They're not too, this is Macone's capital right here, right? So it's kind of looking like maybe this war is turning against Macone, and it might be time to try to jump in. Would that leave us a bit more open, to the elves, like jumping in and taking us out while we're busy with Macone? Definitely. But we can't sit here and do nothing. Right, and it's like, I don't want to fight either of these elves, right? So that eliminates them. We've talked at length about the problems with going after the rest of Niflheim. Maverni is like, he's got 3 capitals, don't really know what he's doing, but he's got big armies, so like he's kind of scary. Don't really want to fight him, so and we could go after Helheim, but again, really do want these Crystal Amazons. And at one point we had Dominion in here, and I'm pretty sure this is a really valuable province. Farm provinces tend to be more valuable, not always. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a very valuable province, so we'd love to pick this up. And realistically, a lot of his forces, like we've seen him fighting against Lanka, and we, obviously he's fighting against Helheim, and so we have a bunch of border down here, and we could pick up a lot of territory. Like we raid pretty well. And this is probably largely undefended. Now, we'll have to, naps, usually, and this depends on the game settings, but generally, like, naps, you can break them. You can violate them, and, like, that's fine. That's just part of it, and obviously you piss people off, and, certainly if I did that, never saw this player in a game again, I wouldn't be able to get a nap with him, assuming he doesn't have a terrible memory, but usually, even I would remember something like that, not the greatest memory. So yeah, I do not plan on violating our nap, and that means he's going to have 3 turns to prepare. Right? I'm gonna let him know that, like, hey, I'm ending our nap, and so usually, not always, but usually when people do that, that means they're going to attack right when the nap is up, and we will. Unless, you never know. Maybe we'll get ganked by elves first, but yeah. So starting to think that, like, yeah, maybe this is the time to jump in, right? Because it's like, Hinam is pushing. If we wait too long, like, I have to wait 3 turns anyway, right? And so that's already like he could theoretically, hop on the capital, maybe break it in 1 turn, probably not, but maybe, and then assault and already have the capital even before, like, diplomatically we're allowed to attack. So yeah, starting to think that, like, maybe, need to break this nap and jump in on this war. Not 100% sure yet, because I still don't know where Niflheim is at this point. I don't think he'd gotten back to me. So pulling this army back off the border, don't want to unduly alarm, our neighbor here yet. And, you never know. Like, this army might still come and, like, slam into us. So, yeah, pulling this army back onto this throne province just in case. And, maybe kind of Valheim gets to see that, so it's sort of like, hey, look, yeah, we have troops, we have armies, you know, look at them move around. I don't know. He probably has scouts like all over our forts. But yeah, we're trying to fix that. Where are our wolves? Where did they go? Here they are. We finally got a guy, and he's actually patrolling. So hey, you know, we have our second patrol group, our first patrol group that we've created that we didn't get for free. So yeah, we're starting to fix that problem of, you know, people can have perfect sight on us at no cost. And we're pulling these guys out. I've given up on this province. Like, the unrest is just ridiculous, and these guys are taking a really long time to bring this unrest down. This isn't a ton of patrollers here, you know, and then this guy's old and like getting afflictions, and I don't want him to like just drop the militia like right on this border. So anyway, I have unrest like in other places, and I think like I think this is where a false prophet just showed up, and like again, like no dominion now in this province, and you know, our dominion strength I think is still it's hard even to find. Like, we only have like those 2 temples. Our dominion strength is still only 4, right? So it's like, really, like having holes like this in the middle, like I don't love that. So I really want to get rid of this false prophet here. Now, of course, I think there is a false prophet here as well. So here you go, false prophet. So anyway, this guy's got a lot of work to do, but yeah, I've just sort of given up on this for now. Ideally, hopefully, once I get like some stronger patrol groups in, you know, they can get in and bring this down a lot faster than, you know, 38 militia or whatever that is. So yeah, I think that covers most of it. What are we doing research-wise? We've discussed this. I think we have our first, Spectre. All right, hey, I remembered. This is our first astral access, which is really cool, you know. And so that's one of the cool things about Spectres, right? They, have decent magic diversity. I think they can also random water and earth. Maybe something. I think that might be it. But yeah, still, you know, I mean, we get water and earth, so not as big of a deal. But, you know, any of the ones that have, sometimes they, you know, random across with astral, and the astral guys can jump into communions and maybe do some cool stuff. But anyway, so this is really nice that our first guy got astral, and he's casting Arcane Probing, which is a site search spell, which I think we've talked about a little bit. But, you know, you can use mages to just manually walk around and site search, or there are a variety of spells. I think this one is in evocation. They're kind of scattered all over the place, but there's one for each path of magic, and it'll search at level 9. Yeah, here it is, Arcane Probing. And so rather than having to move a mage out and, you know, manually take the search action, you know, you cast this spell, which does cost gems, but, you know, then you don't have to move there, right? So this one has a range of 4 provinces, so, you know, I mean, he can search from pretty far away and safely, which is nice too. And yeah, look for sites, and it searches them at level 9, so you're guaranteed, you know, if there is a site in that path of magic in that province, like, you will find it. You don't have to worry about, like, you know, like this stuff, where it's just like, yeah, I mean, you searched it, but not at maximum level. So there could be some really cool sites like hiding out here in these paths of magic, you know, that I just haven't found yet. And, you know, I mean, it's always a balance of, like, you know, you want to try to find sites earlier. And anyway, we've talked about site searching, but so Arcane Probing, you know, gonna basically use our existing astral income that's pretty much mostly coming from this capital that we captured, right? So we've just kind of been stacking these pearls up for a while now. And we may have like 1 or 2 other astral sites. There's a few other ways. I think technically, like, sometimes like holy, like priests can find like these ancient temples with their holy paths, and then those will give you astral pearls. So like, yeah, sometimes sites that can be found with a different path of magic will then give you gems, you know, of maybe like 2 paths of magic or a different path of magic than you initially searched for. So anyway, we actually have a decent amount of astral pearls, mostly because we just haven't been able to use them at all. And we're going to now use those to, you know, increase our astral income even more, because, yeah, so we must be getting 1 from somewhere else, right? Because you can see when you mouse over these, it tells you how many per month you're getting down at the bottom there. And so we're getting 3 astral pearls a month, mostly from, wrong side again, from this one. But we must be getting one more from somewhere else. But anyway, so if we were to, not that like Astral 1, like can't cast a ton of Astral ritual spells. But if we were to somehow start casting a bunch of Astral ritual spells, we would burn through this, 58 really quickly because our income kind of sucks. So it's pretty common when you don't have like really good access. If you do build up like a stockpile of gems, it's not the worst thing to use that initial stockpile on some of these site searching spells, to basically secure yourself a solid income of that gem type. And then often too, right, it's like this is our only Astral Mage, right? So by casting these spells, it's twice as fast as manually like walking around, right? Because it's like move, search, move, search. And this way he can just search every turn. So it does cost gems, it is expensive, but especially for situations where it's like this is our only Astral Mage, so it's going to take us a really long time to search everything, even with the spells. In these cases, I definitely think it's worth it to cast these spells. And the site searching spells, like site searching with mages versus casting the spells, is another one of these things that like people just argue back and forth about a lot. Like some people really prefer site searchers because it saves gems, but then some people really prefer the spells because it saves time. Like everything else in Dominions, it depends. But anyway, yeah, so we got our first Spectre, and I mean, they got a bunch of other cool stuff. They just have some built-in fear. Here's that life drain attack, which is magic, which is nice. We don't have a lot of magic attacks. Armor piercing, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, so it does drain fatigue as well, which is not such a big deal because he's undead, so he doesn't have to worry about encumbrance. He's got Spirit Sight, which could actually become super relevant here, with that darkness. Not that one Spectre is not going to be enough to stop that army, but I mean, hey, every little bit. He's got a chill aura, which, we're obviously really familiar with. He's got some pretty standard, like, undead resistances. I mean, he is undead, so, like, banishment and stuff is really going to hurt him. So, I mean, yeah, he's got weaknesses for sure. He's stealthy, which is really cool. They're just really cool mages. I really like them. I mean, probably not for every nation, but yeah, quite a few nations. And, again, for us, our only Astral access right now. So yeah, we're getting more of them. That's pretty much, this guy's going to be summoning Spectres probably for some time. It's a decently expensive spell. I think it's 22 normally. Where are you, Spectres? Yeah, 22 death gems. So not cheap to bring these guys in. But, I mean, like, for instance, Lamia Queen also gets you a commander, right? And that's 25 gems. And then, of course, we've seen, like, that Sea King's Court, right? That Sea Troll, the Sea King. That's 55 gems, So, and then, like, summoning a Flame Spirit, also a spellcaster that you get, 30 gems. It's generally not cheap to summon spellcasters, so like 22 gems is not cheap, but it's not expensive for a caster. And then of course, it's conjuration, so we're getting that conjuration bonus here, which is really nice. So yeah, Spectres. Maybe don't want to burn through all of our gems. We'll see. Our death income is actually decent. 14 is pretty good. 15. Let's see, not so good with water, not so good with air. And then fire is like okay. But yeah, we do want to save some gems. We don't have it set up yet, but we do eventually want to go for Conjuration 7 to try to get some of these Wraith Lords. And we're probably going to have to do some empowerment, which is really expensive. We'll see. We might be able to, with item boosters and stuff, boost our way up. But yeah, so we're going to need a lot of gems to empower potentially. And then, of course, a lot of the items that boost your paths are not cheap either. So yeah, I mean, we're going to need death gems for that. And then, of course, these guys are like 40 gems a pop. Reduced from our site, but not cheap. I think I've talked a little bit about these guys. But yeah, so we don't necessarily want to burn through our entire death gem stock on Spectres. But then again, with these elves on our borders, like, we may not live long enough, to to get those Wraith Lords. So we'll see. It really depends, I think, on how threatened I end up feeling. Certainly, like, if the elves come in and it's just like, yeah, burn them all, burn all those gems, get as many Spectres as possible. But yeah, hopefully going to be able to use a couple of these guys as raiders, against Macone if we do go in. And then, yeah, certainly having some counter rating options against the elves will be real nice, because, I mean, you've seen from Helheim, it's just like, yeah, all kinds of rating. And, Vanheim is the same. So having some counter rater options, so you can take stuff back. And then also, we've seen, of course, in the wars that have already happened, just rating is important always. So anyway, yeah, really happy to get these Spectres. Yeah, and then I think that covers it. We kind of already saw most of our scouting. Yeah, trying to figure out, this is not Lanka's capital, but yeah, this is a cracked fort here from So yeah, trying to get our scout on there to see that. Not looking good here for Lanka, although this army coming in is definitely going to take pressure from Macon off, so I mean, that's good news for them. But yeah, kind of want to see how that's going. If we do go in on Macon, then will become our neighbor. And so, I mean, in all likelihood. So yeah, definitely worth, seeing. And hey, always like to see his god in action. It's cool stuff, even if he does eventually use it to beat up on us. And then, yeah, finally found a border here to Helheim. So it looks like Pangaea borders him at least a little bit. So just sort of trying to get a sense of like, hey, like maybe Pangaea is like, how much of a border does he have? Is he somebody that might be interested? Is he already fighting Helheim? Maybe. Maybe would be somebody interested in, helping in a war against Helheim, because even though, yeah, we kind of invited Helheim in, although he already invited himself in, he's looking so scary that, like, yeah, we could easily be fighting him. And honestly, he's so big that, he's looking so big anyway, that, a lot of factions are going to start to become worried that he's going to snowball out of control, right? Because Dominions is a lot about, using your existing advantages to generate even more advantage, and then, you snowball to a point where you're just unstoppable. And obviously, like, anybody, like, Marverni is like somebody who could win the game, absolutely. Realistically, we probably can't win the game. Very unlikely. But hey, it's still fun to play and, learn stuff, and, you never know, right? But yeah, I mean, Marverni is doing really well. They have 3 capitals, they have this throne, they probably have this throne, you know what I mean? Like, there's somebody that could win the game, but not if Helheim just completely snowballs out of control. Like, Helheim eating, like, Niflheim and then turning around and eating me as well, right? Then he would just be absolutely massive, and, then he would outrank and outnumber Marverni. So Marverni could potentially be an ally, with us, like, even though, it could go either way, right? Like, if I get attacked by all the elves and Marverni sees that, like, I'm just screwed, then he might just jump in as well and just, take what he can while he can. But, if we do manage to battle back, then he's looking at, me being like, well, Ulm isn't doing that great. They're probably not, I can beat them in the long run. It'd be better to keep them around as an ally, and fight against Helheim. So anyway, at this point, definitely starting to think about, well, what if Helheim or Vanheim attacks? What can I do? Who can I talk to? And then, of course, yeah, I mean, the dream scenario is Vanheim and Helheim fight, because they must share like a massive border, and they're both really powerful. Right? And so, I mean, they don't want to fight each other because they're really powerful, and like, why fight some horrendous war against a really powerful neighbor, when you can just, like, I don't know, say beat up on Ulm, or beat up on Hinnom, or, maybe eat Baratos. So I don't think they're going to fight each other, but I mean, they're always going to be eyeing each other warily, because they're both probably contenders for winning this game right now. And so, if one of them falters, right, like, Vanheim could be an ally against Helheim, and Helheim could be a balance against Vanheim. So honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe it's a good thing that I border both of them. It's either a good thing or a really, really bad thing. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. It really just depends. But yeah, definitely super scared about what the elves are up to. And yeah, that's turn 60.